Hey everyone, Caddy here, and today I'm talking about Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Yet another late review to add to the pile of late reviews, I know, but like I keep saying, I caught up on a lot of things over Christmas and not much has come out recently that I really want to dig into. You know, aside from Shadow of the Colossus and Celeste at the moment, but
in time.
And hey, despite the glowing critical reception and me not being able to add that much more to the conversation because I really don't want to spoil that much, I will just say that I was not expecting half the shit that happened in Hellblade to happen. I go into games as blind as possible so my anticipation doesn't go sky high and my opinions can be as open and honest as possible, and even going into this knowing the basic ideas and what the point of the game was, I was surprised. A sensation with games that I love feeling when something wins tons of awards, and you can kind of see why that is for yourself. But I say that I kind of see why because much like Breath of the Wild, I really bloody enjoyed my time here. I must make that clear. Really bloody enjoyed it. But I didn't think it was absolutely flawless, and it didn't affect me as personally as it has affected other people that can relate more to it. That didn't stop me from feeling uncomfortable during my playtime though, because Hellblade is easily one of the most effectively uncomfortable games I've ever played, and there's a lot more greatness within it to follow. And yes, I will try my hardest not to spoil major things here, because if you haven't played the game, I really think it's best experiencing knowing as little as possible, but even in showing off gameplay, it's unavoidable, so...
Spoilers alright, okay, nice.
On the surface level, you have a third-person action puzzle game about you killing random deities and confronting personal demons in order to reach hell itself in order to save somebody very close to you, which sounds really simple, but the more you peel back, it isn't. The best way I can describe this story is that it's like if Team Eco made Lord of the Rings, but with mental illness being the main enemy. And again, I really don't want to spoil some of the story stuff that does happen, but needless to say, it's an extremely cool story told in an extremely cool way from the perspective from the person being directly affected by the issues presented. And if you want to go through the game yourself, headphones are the only way to feel the full uncomfortable effect. As I'm sure a few of you know already, this game dives into the territory of mental disorders and how fucking awful they can be, and your main character, Senua, is afflicted with many issues causing psychosis for reasons you discover in the story, meaning that you see things, hear voices, and never truly know what's real or an insanely convincing delusion that you've made up. Just that aspect alone makes the audio design some of the best in any game I've heard, and the visuals, I mean, hot damn the visuals, this is an indie game, people, look! Talk about a lavish helping of some of the most detailed 3D graphics in indie game history, with lighting, shadows, and smoothness rivaling some of the best millions budgeted AAA titles of the last 5 years. And that's not even mentioning the trippy and downright unsettling effects combining to create an eerie representation of the psychosis talked about in the story. The mental episodes don't just blend into the story with the stuff that you see just walking around and the flashback sequences that made me feel so fucking sorry for Senua, but it also blends into the gameplay. You never know what to expect here, and nothing can ever be trusted, even within the gameplay mechanics. In every trial that you enter to take down every respective god to reach the depths of hell, you not only mentally heal your mind to the best of your own ability in the story, but also use totally different puzzle exploration mechanics unique to their own trials and worlds based all around Senua's second sight that she thinks she has because of her illness. Using the focus eye command, you can essentially use hallucinations as a gameplay mechanic for seeing things to solve puzzles that I found totally fascinating, since you not only have a story about a victim of a serious mental disorder that's slowly torturing her, but also a story about how somebody can use the disorder to flip the deck in their favor. Not in a positive way in how mental illness is a good thing or anything like that, that's just ridiculous, but almost as a coping mechanism for overcoming some of the worst things that life can throw at you, which I don't think I've seen for a long time from a game with mental illness in it. There's a graceful balance here, and it never feels like the game hammers its message in or gets things over-exaggerated for the sake of drama. It feels uncannily real too much of the time, and is extremely depressing to play through on reflection. The good thing as well is that focusing as a gameplay mechanic is pretty awesome as it stands as well, and it's impressive how many different environmental, control style, multiple world switching, and echochrome, remember that game? Perspective styled puzzles, they all fit in around this single button command, and yet it all ties into the same theme of Senua's inner struggles. It's a shame then that a few too many places rely way too much on backtracking with the puzzle solving, and even the jogging speed isn't the fastest, so some areas last a little too long, especially when you already run past the place of interest on the other end of the map without realizing, and then need to go back through the same linear set of ladder and rubble climbing up specific paths in order to get back to where you were, and these can be the slowest parts of the game without anything interesting to at least see to break up the slight monotony here. Even the sword fighting, with every enemy and boss fight even, is mostly all the same, with the same methods of approach and execution, which did slightly disappoint me, with basically no differing ways of using combos, combinations of blocks and dodges, or anything. But saying that, I still can't deny that the combat as well is a really damn good part of the game. The fighting is tricky, very fast paced, exciting from how responsive your moves are and how fast the enemies can attack back, relies a lot on you committing to a particular move and potentially screwing it up, and can leave you fighting near death from how vulnerable you are, no matter how quickly you dodge, guard, and counter. Tying yet again into the mental illness and a particular warning that appears near the start of the game and what happens if you game over, but I won't say anything more than that. These parts can punish you if you lose your rhythm, and they're also very immersive fights to match with the immersive puzzles with how the psychosis weaves into it, not only with how certain enemy weaknesses can be exposed by the focus command, but also just generally from the visual and audio design while you're fighting. I mean, this story had professional doctors helping Ninja Theory to create it. That's how accurate they wanted to portray the hardships and slow mental erosion that these problems can have on a person and the things around them like family and loved ones, and how they can all react totally differently to it. Plus, we're in a time period, or universe at least, where medicine isn't advanced whatsoever, meaning that Senua's mental state just gets worse from the lack of support from those around her and understanding of the voices in her head, except from the person that she's trying to save, making you feel for her plight to save this person even more. And in that sense, I'd say Hellblade was worth it just for the experience. Battles, puzzles, and spookier moments are heightened to intense when there are voices in your head screaming violently at you, telling you to give up, or whisper anxiously about things you're unsure are traps or not, or even if Senua is doing anything useful at all. Plus, it's dynamic based on how well you play the game, and it's as much a battle with the enemies as it is yourself, and not being distracted by your own self-doubt yelling at you and telling you how shit you are. Even the backstory of the world that you travel through is told elegantly through the psychosis and directly through the visions of another character you end up becoming friends with in your own head, and I actually cared to find all of the hidden backstory tablets because of that. I wasn't just reading text or listening to stories for my own benefit, but also strengthening the bond with the only other friendly thing my mind could latch onto. Yet more ways that the mental illness elegantly works its way into the story instead of just being there to make you feel bad for a particular person. However, much like the flaws with puzzles and repetition of combat in places, even these had to have a flaw, which is a massive shame. The fact that you can't walk too far away from the story tablets or else you can't hear any of it, practically forcing you to stop dead in your tracks every time you listen to a fascinating part of the story. Why you can't just keep walking around during these monologues without fear of losing an entire half of the paragraph is beyond me. I mean, aren't these voices supposed to be in her head? Why do they fade out when you walk further away from them? So yes, I do have some issues with the pace being totally screwed by long-winded backtracking and puzzle segments, standing around for story, and the game is held back by the combat once or twice, but the main issue I have with my own script writing here is that I just don't want to spoil that much more with how cool the mechanics can get and how deep and tormenting this game can get sometimes. So to conclude, I can only say you have to try it out for yourself. Hellblade isn't all it appears to be from the Steam page, and I don't think it's for everybody, but I do highly recommend you give this game a look, and especially for an indie team and a budget price, Ninja Theory deserve any kind of support for pushing the boundaries of how polished and beautiful a product a small team can make compared to their corporate overlord competition. So I'm going to give this game an 8 out of 10. It's great. If it's your birthday today while watching this video, happy freaking birthday to you, and please remember to stay beautiful. Hey everybody, and thanks so much for watching this video review on Hellblade. Special thanks to every single person on the screen right now who have helped support the channel via Patreon, and special thanks to all the top tier supporters that you can have a look for yourself if you want to go in the description below. No one's holding a gun to your head, it's totally optional, but still I want to thank every single one of these people for being extra generous, and I just can't believe how great and kind you are. Omar Matu, Basil, Patrick Ferguson, Andy Ellis, Robert Alamsha, I Have a Portal Gun, Gamer Man, Thomas Olsen, Mills Kahai, Alicia Knightley, Super Spyro Fan 2010, Daniel Leon, Jane Ives, Karsten, Mitchell Reed, Tiago Pereira, A.D. Thornton Smith, Oblivion Rising, Noxious, Ellen Rilpley, Kirsten B, QB, Nathan Young, and Nicole Ganara. Thank you so much, every single one of you.